This record is a really well-needed breath of fresh air for his catalog with it has a lot more consistent ideas than a lot of his other releases. I'm really enjoying the bright and bubbly, playful vibes that this whole album just gives off, like, consistently. Good combination of his last two efforts. Really loving the extra instrumentation that this record brings to the table. I think the extra instruments bring more life to his music and his songwriting. Even though I was comfortable with him and just his guitar, I thought all the other additional instruments were a good mix. I hope to see him add more instruments in the future, like this one. On the sheet I see your horizon. I really enjoyed the more minimalistic direction that he went with this record, especially considering his last album. The dark tone that is just sunken throughout this whole album is incredibly beautiful. He's really putting his great songwriting to the forefront on this record. They ain't got shit on me, kill. This is very intricate and precise songwriting consistently throughout this whole thing. He brings a new sound to R&B and at the same time combines hip-hop elements, which just makes this whole album just this really interesting thing to listen to. It was a vast improvement on his last effort, which is super promising. I hope he brings out more in the future. I really appreciated the emphasis on pop songwriting on this album compared to their last work, which was more experimental. I'd say this album is a great reimagining of their past work, and their songwriting is as strong as ever. When you end up getting gobbled, the cowboys in the shadow gonna double with your nerve center. Admittedly, this is my first experience with Busdriver. I was not too familiar with him outside of this album this year, but I was blown away. I'm really loving his talented rapping skills that he showcases throughout the entire record, and his writing on this thing is beautiful too. More on the writing, I was really surprised by the large amount of social commentary that this album really had to offer. It was a super pleasant surprise. Backseat driving, passenger traveling, bumming a ride in my own brain. He really matured in his production and in his writing, especially from his 2012 effort, Mr. Thug Isolation. This album is a great balance of dark and somber, and his production mixes the two together perfectly, along with his lyrics. R.I.P. Human Rap Game. And so 3 cheers for my... I really love seeing these songs getting the light of day and the attention that they finally deserve, especially with the fantastic songwriting throughout this whole thing. Jesse Lacey just brings his best work out. He's really giving these tracks a new light. I think that it was well deserved. Well needed, I should say. This guy brings an incredibly creative take on a modern hip-hop. It's really abrasive yet really colorful and experimental at the same time, very inviting at times. It balances dark, manic tones with really bright, crazy soundscapes. Very intense listen. This album is easily the most intense and impressive listening experience you're going to have all year. The songs can go faster than light to monumental with each coming track. But above all, this album really showcases their masterful songwriting. If you haven't picked up a Death Grips album yet, now would definitely be the time.